What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well today. I want to do something different because there's always a little dead space there at the beginning of it, so I just want to do something a little different there. But what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. So glad to finally be back on the live stream with the boys, Mick and Michael, and y'all as well. We're glad to be back and excited to be back and rolling. So again, I mean, really, I feel like we got a lot to talk about today. So definitely for those tuning in, make sure to send us your comments. Let us know who's here. Send us any questions, comments you have. But again, I think that we really just got to kind of just jump right into it here. So first of all, I mean, with me not being here last week, I feel like I need to go ahead and get some things off my chest I wasn't able to discuss last week.
Did I do it that bad, Layton?
No.
Were we that bad?
Michael, that's a shot at me and you is what that is.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No,
now that we really are back to normal, let me.
Yeah. No. It's simply that I mean, it's honestly like again something I'll say about the some specific about the game that bugged me particularly, which I wanted to bring up. But I mean, other than that, no. I mean, I loved it for sure. So
just kidding.
But all right. So I mean, again, we're jumping.
Let us know in the comments who does it better. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Don't do that.
No. So
some ego.
The targeting calls, specifically one in particular that I had the most problem with, and that was because I was literally looking right down at it, and that was the hit from Jakeem Harris on Sam Howell, and again I was literally like looking right at it down the 25-yard line, and like I still remember after that hit, because basically what happened is that Sam Howell dove head first, turned his head sideways. Jakeem Harris dove at him with his head sideways. They hit because Jakeem was trying to keep him short of the first down marker, and so then they called a targeting a foul. And I remember the coaching staff just freaked out, and me as well, because I literally immediately said, I literally started yelling immediately. I said, "All right, if that's targeting, then Dorn should just hand the headset to the referee and walk out. We're not playing football." Like that is no way. There's no way you're about to throw him out for that. So again, which kind of goes back to again my argument saying that that again there should really be two levels of targeting. But again, thank goodness that wasn't even targeting. But like that, there's been many plays this season in particular, not just us, but for every school. Like for example, the Auburn goal line targeting, where it was kind of the similar play, but they called that targeting. It's like, how are you going to throw a guy out for that? When at the end of the day, the guy made himself defenseless. At the end of the day, Sam Howell made himself defenseless by diving head first. So that was kind of one bone that I really wanted to pick with you guys. But unfortunately, I had a wedding, so I couldn't bring it up. But wanted to bring it up now. That was, I'm just thrilled that Jakeem, and twice, by the way, actually got targeting called on him. But yeah, I got called back. So thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with them reviewing it. As long as they make the right call, I don't have a problem with them reviewing it. And I think we've discussed it before that there should be levels of targeting with intent and without that, doesn't result in an ejection.
Right.
So,
yeah. And because also too, one thing, speaking of penalties, I wanted to bring up, which is kind of a newer thing, but it's been talked about a lot, and that's the Pitt Wake Forest game, the fake slide by Kenny Pickett.
And I would like to talk about that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We can't spend too much. Well, I want to do a discrepancy. Say we got a lot of topics, so we can't necessarily spend too much time. But I wanted to bring that up because I knew that was going to be a big thing. So make and go for it.
So my thing is that should not be allowed. And the reason why is because you train every defensive player that if you even think about touching the quarterback when he's going down, you're getting a penalty. And he's supposed to be ruled down when the rule is when he starts the sliding. When he starts to go down, he's down. That's when he's supposed to be marked down. You can't then go and reward the quarterback for faking it to touchdown.
Yeah.
That's just if you're gonna allow that, then you gotta allow players to be able to tackle if the quarterback's going down.
I mean,
kind
it was
of
a
take
smart
me off.
play.
I was actually pulling for Pittsburgh, but it took me off that happened.
I mean, it was a smart play by him because, I mean, it's not in the rule book. I guarantee this offseason they're going to put it in the rule book that you can't fake a slide. Because like you said, when you slide, you're supposed to be marked down where you start the slide. So, yeah.
True.
But and you saw all the Wake Forest players around him back away.
Yeah.
It's like they're told they should not tackle him.
Yeah. Yeah. I
imagine
that
and State should have been playing for the ACC championship. That's all I'm going to say.
We should have been the ones faked out by him.
Yeah.
But again, I'll say again though that I mean that people were kind of calling down Kenny Pickett for doing it, but I mean I'm not calling him down for doing it because in the day it's not illegal. You know, I mean, I kind of frown upon it, but I mean, then day, hey, I mean it's ACC championship.
The thing is, everything's in line. The refs got it wrong because they're saying. There is a rule. The moment he goes down, he starts.
But he never went.
But the point is, when he was starting the rule, I think the rule is written when he begins the going down. That's when he's ruled down. I think that's the way the rule is written. I'll have to go look it up. Let's go. I'll have to go look it up.
That would have been a crazy call. Let's put it that way. That would have been a crazy call if the referees called him down for that. Like that would have been big.
Okay.
So. But anyway, so now kind of moving on, one things that I wanted to discuss, obviously, which was pretty big time with basketball. I think we got to talk a little bit about basketball because again, it's been such a great week, but obviously one of the biggest highlights was the commitment of Robert Dillingham, Dilly. And again, the number one point guard in the country. It's kind of odd, honestly, because I'm kind of feeling a little bit of deja vu to Mark Gottfried a little bit because I mean we're kind of in that same time period, you know, with Gottfried. We weren't necessarily sure. We were kind of on the borderline with him, but then like they got Dennis Smith Jr. We're like, okay, I see it. All right, cool. Same with Keats. I feel like we're not necessarily in quite as bad. I mean, okay, I would say we're in bad as about the same shape because then Gottfried took us to NCAA tournaments while Keats, you know, he's been consistent but hasn't necessarily gotten us to NCAA tournaments. So I'll kind of say they're similar, but now getting basically almost graded exactly the same as Dennis Smith Jr. I think they're only like a couple hundredths of a point, actually thousands of a point difference in terms of the spark rating. But very similar. I mean, both just playmakers, athletes galore, and I mean, so Macon, I guess for those who are tuning in, so what are your kind of initial kind of thoughts? I was kind of curious on your thoughts on how much different Robert Dillingham is from Dennis Smith Jr. From coming out of high school perspective. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
So I would say Robert is shiftier. He's got more of a quick twitch game to him. He's pretty skinny. He's going to need to add muscle. I think Dennis, obviously, kids coming out of high school are, for the most part, they need to add muscle. I think Dennis probably had a little bit more meat on his bones kind of thing. I don't want to say necessarily that Dennis was more explosive or he was like stronger with the ball in his hands, but I get the vibe when I always watch highlights. He seemed more commanding with the ball in his hands. It's my ball and I'm going to do what I want with this ball. And Dillingham, to me, he seems like he's got that ball on a string. Like he's just like wherever he goes, the ball's coming with him, and he can. You kind of don't know where he's going. I don't want to. To me, he's not Cat Barber or anything like that, but he just got this quick twitch, shifty. Really, he has a really good feel of space around him. I felt like Dennis was more of a, he kind of would be I don't say the QB of the offense, but he was just more like commanding of the command of this is my ball. As that's what I put it. Robert Dillingham, to me, he's explosive. I think you're going to see more highlight dunks from Dennis than you were Dillingham. But I think the shiftiness and the flow through space to be able to feel the defenders around him without necessarily having to account for everybody, he just kind of feels it. I think that's better than Dennis was coming out of high school. So I think you're going to see a better distribution of the ball, a little bit more unpredictability with Dillingham. So this is my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of my thoughts too, and that I mean Dennis Smith Jr., especially in high school. I mean, specifically like the Steph Curry camp where he did this ridiculous dunk and Steph Curry ran over to the
Yeah.
camera and said, "Hey, can you play that back for me?" Like like that's Dennis Smith Jr. But yeah, I mean I think Robert Dillingham is I mean he's not say more of a team player, but just with Dennis Smith, it's like the spotlight's on him. But I think with
Yeah,
Dillingham, just like you said, it's kind of like we're going to get everybody involved, and today we're going to get everybody scoring here. So,
yeah. I think the
Michael,
way Hunter Smith's comment here, he said Dennis never really made anybody better around him better. He was a me guard. I mean,
mm-hmm,
we were not great with him as our point guard that year, and
mm-hmm,
he got a lot of stats, a lot of volume, and he
Yeah.
didn't really make it. No one's going to argue with that.
yeah,
He was.
yeah,
I do think Dillingham is just. I don't know how he's going to make guys better, but he's played on the Olympic team for his age range, and he's good. He's going to be a very good player. The thing is, though, with him, just like with Dennis, Dennis, people forget we were like this close to getting Bam Adebayo, who obviously now he's like the franchise player for the Miami Heat. He's like the face of their team
mm-hmm,
besides Tyler Hero. And
yeah,
with Dillingham being like the QB as a point guard, the number one, two things we made a note. We can talk about this later, but Carolina and Duke have just like 1, 2, 3 pecking order of State's got number one point guard, Duke's got number two, Carolina's got number three. But
mm-hmm,
players are going to follow Dillingham, just like players are going to follow Carolina's players and Duke's players. The fact that we got him early and he's a point guard in particular, you're going to see some of these, centers or power forwards, particularly, I think, want to come and play with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, because one in particular is actually his teammate at Donda Academy, who was a 4-star power forward or center, something like that.
Yeah,
but he's a big
Brandon
man.
White. Brandon White is his name.
Brandon White.
So
Brandon White.
Will Pryor asked that question. Any leads on a big man? There's no leads really, but if you follow Twitter and you subscribe to the different, Inside Pack Sports, Pack Pride, Wolfpacker, they'll tell you that mostly Twitter, like he's teammates. Brandon White is from North Carolina.
Yeah.
He's teammates with Dillingham. He's like Leighton said,
He's definitely talking
four-star.
to him.
Correct.
Talking to him about
It makes.
Yeah.
I saw one guy say it makes too much sense.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So that'll be big. And I think that for us, I know that we were kind of saying that immediately when we got Robert, I immediately said, all right, well, we know that Keats is going to be here at least through 2023, 2024, because obviously we're not letting him go before Dillingham comes down.
Well, that's not saved his job, but helped his job career.
Helped his job. But I think that there's, if he doesn't do something before then, that'll be the year where it's like, okay, just because same thing with Godfrey. I think that was kind of the straw with Godfrey it was like, okay, you have a really good team right now. So if you can't win with this, then it's just not going to happen. And Godfrey couldn't win with Dennis Smith Jr. in that team. And so we let him go. And so I think the same thing with Keith is that by that point, he'll be here for probably 7 years or so, 7, 8 years, give or take. And so if he doesn't win with that team, it's like, okay, maybe.
If you look at the roster, like assuming everybody stays with, I mean, that may or may not happen, but you would have Sebron as a senior, Terquavion and Breon Pass. Those would be sophomores. They've looked good so far. And then, hopefully.
Did you say Sebron? Did you say Sebron in that list?
Yeah. I mean,
that dude's gone. He's gone
after this year.
Oh, 100%. If he keeps winning, that's another take. I guess not to get too far ahead. Not to get too far in this conversation. If he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's got to go. He needs to go make some money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it seems like he has to regress at some point, but maybe not. Maybe not. Doubles every game.
No. And again, I mean, and Benjamin, kind of said that, again, we can't wait until then, start winning. And absolutely, I mean, again, we're not saying, okay, like, you can just wait until 2023 until, Robert Dillingham and the team comes. Like, no, I mean, we still have expectations. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, you can't let Keys go with a player like that, of that caliber, sitting there waiting. That's all we're saying here. So, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, and I know everybody's kind of mentioning Sebron, DeQuavion Smith. I mean, That's the thing is I know that a lot of people have really, especially after Louisville lost, really have come down on Keats saying, that, it's because of coaching that we lost that game or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
then they, again, team's just so young but so talented. I mean, you look at the guys like Sebron, DeQuavian Smith, and you go, again, it's unbelievable how good they're playing. Then it's not like we're even halfway through the season. Again, we literally just played our first ACC game against a solid opponent, not a great opponent, but a solid opponent in Louisville. And again, we showed a lot. But again, I know one person in particular was saying that, well, we shouldn't rely on late game comebacks in order to win. I completely agree. I think that I wish we would have started off stronger, but I feel like it kind of shows a lot more in a team where you can, be down but not out, and fight your way back, and really have ourselves in a great position to win that game. It just took a miraculous 3-pointer to beat us. Again, it's not like
Yeah.
he was set foot in the corner. He was falling backwards, shooting it up in the corner. So it was a ridiculous shot to win that game. So
Yeah. I don't know. I think the team's really good. I think they're going, or not really good. I would think we give Keats some credit to a degree. I know there was a back and forth between somebody on Twitter and us about Keats blew it and our whole team sucks and the world's on fire because that one guy put that shot in. And to me, it's like you got to give that guy credit. Should TeQuavian have played the ball or not? To me, I think probably the technical right way to do it is to leave the ball alone. You stand your defender, make it a tough catch. Your hand's in his face already. You don't leave your feet, kind of thing. That's probably what he should have done. But he's a true freshman. He's trying to make a play on the ball. He's long enough where he, theoretically, he probably could make that tip if he needed to. But it didn't happen that way. I'm impressed more so with how well the team is doing individually, other than maybe I won't say Helms is doing bad. I think we thought Helms was going to just explode, and he's not exploding, but he's playing some pretty good numbers. It's just he's being overshadowed by Sebron, who no one saw coming, and Morcell's playing pretty well. Cam's playing about where he was last year, and then EB Duana, I feel like, is the other story of the season. Like he's not playing. He's not playing out of his mind, but he's been a somewhat of a revelation to the fact that we actually have a presence in the post without Manny Bates right now, and we thought we had nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry,
Duanu has been, for me, I've been thrilled to see how Duanu's been playing, just because at the end of the day, just like you were saying, losing Manny Bates, we were all immediately held back. But Duanu's been not necessarily great, but he's been effective. He's been effective on the defensive side. He's done enough on the offensive side. Again, he's filled the spot well. But again, he's still a young player, and again, he's going to develop the more minutes that he plays. Which if he keeps on pace, he's going to be playing a lot of minutes. By the end of the season, so he'll be getting better even throughout this season, but even long term, even heading into next season, whatever it may be. So, again, it's obviously a tough pill to swallow, losing a player of Manny Bates' caliber. Not even like the first game, literally like the first 5 minutes of the first game, and you lose him for the rest of the season. And so, but again, Duanu's done a great job of stepping up. So hats off to him.
And I think he had 7 points against Louisville, which is kind of, that'd be ideal if he could get 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 points a game from the post. Because he's looked good on defense. Against Nebraska, he didn't even attempt a shot, I think, until one of the overtimes. So it was good to see him get at least 7 points against an ACC team. If he can, contribute just enough on offense, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think I'm looking over here at the stats of the team right now at this point in the season. Just talking about Duana. Right now, he's playing 27 minutes a game, and he's only averaging 4 points, 4.1 points per game, 4.5 or 4.6 rebounds per game. He's shooting 68, a little over 68%, So when he takes a shot,
Yeah.
he's doing it well.
Good. Yeah.
He's just not taking shots. But his blocks per game, I'm curious, he's averaging 2.6 blocks per game. That'll play in the ACC, or at least that'll play right now. I know that maybe we'll get the ACC play. The one thing I also find is interesting here is, you've got 5 players in double-digit scoring. You've got Sebron, Helms, Smith, Morcell, and Hayes. Obviously, Sebron and Helms. Sebron's averaging 20.4 points per game. Helms is 15.3. And then Morcell and Hayes are both averaging 12.3. Smith is averaging just over 10 at 10.6. I mean, if you had told me beginning of the season that 5 of our players would be averaging over 10
Double
points
figures,
per game at least, I would take that. And I think most fans would take that. I don't think we would have thought that going into the season that 5 players would be doing that. I think people are most surprised, obviously, by Sebron, but I think Smith and Morcell have been big. And I think I'm tell you what, Morcell's injury, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I know some people thought it was, but the fact that it was just a sprain and he can come back, that's big.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially one of my points is that it just seems like that because like Thomas Allen, like he was somebody going into the season I kind of looked at as saying, if he could develop a 3-point shot and be a 3-point shooter for us, that'd be big. Because I think it's been truly evident that we just don't have that 3-pointer, this season. I mean, we have guys who can shoot the 3, but just not on a consistent basis. We don't have a Ralston Turner. We don't have a Scott Wood. We don't have somebody that we can go to and be like, oh yeah, this 3 is going in. Like for example, like the last play like against Louisville, like the fact that Cam Hayes was the one that shot the 3-pointer to try and tie it. It's just like, I mean, he did well shooting the 3 ball against Louisville, but again, I would have loved to have had somebody that Keith could have easily said, all right, how are we going to get this guy the ball on this play?
That's what's interesting because it should be. I don't say it should be. Let's say it back. One guy that they brought him in to be a 3-point specialist was Thomas Allen.
Yeah,
and he's not really playing. I know Keith said he's dealing with plantar fasciitis, but I was surprised he didn't play a ton against Nebraska, nor Louisville. He played more against Louisville.
Helms, Morcell was out, but
yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Helms and Morcell and Allen should be your knockdown 3-point shooters to a degree. They should be the guys you go to for a 3. It shouldn't really necessarily be Hayes, although if Hayes can get a consistent 3-point shot down, he's going to be a problem. I think he's got a balanced game. He doesn't do anything great, but he does everything well.
Yeah.
So if he can get some of those, improve there, that'd be great. I just think to me, the key is going to be is Duwana continuing to progress, and I think Helms staying out of foul trouble. He's averaging over 4 fouls a game. That'll be big.
That's gonna be big, yeah.
And Sebron can't do it all by himself. So these guys are going to have to contribute and step up. It can't be just, we're in a pinch, like Sebron gets a bucket, or like it was a few seasons ago, Cat Barber, go get us a bucket. Like we can't sustain that. We can't bank on that every time. So,
yeah. Well, and I mean, Taquavian Smith, I mean, even in just the first games, third, quarter or third of the season, however many games we played so far that we've seen so far. I mean, Taquavian Smith's played well. Again, for a true freshman, he's been he's been impressive. So I honestly think that as you kind of get into that second half of the season or kind of deep into the ACC schedule, that's when you're going to kind of see him kind of take the next step. Because again, I mean, I think that it was very evident in the post-game press conference that, I mean, he basically said, I'm not used to losing. I don't really like this right now. Like, I don't like this, losing consistently.
Yeah.
I don't like it. So, and maybe that kind of might be a little bit of a rallying cry here. I don't know. But again, I mean, there's no doubt that everything that Keats was saying, everything that was talked about with him being the Gatorade Player of the Year has transitioned over to college, where, I mean, he's not necessarily been like ridiculous, but I mean, for being a true freshman, how he's playing right now is very, very impressive. So
Yeah, he's
I
shooting.
think
We talk about 3 points. He's shooting 34% right now from three.
it's very
Helms
good.
and Morcell are shooting 39% from three. So he's the third best 3-point shooter on your team right now.
Mhm.
Actually, kind of surprised. Cam Hayes is only shooting 22% from three. It's kind of surprising. But yeah, Smith has been great. Just won freshman of the week. Duant, I mean, and Sebron, obviously, Sebron was going to win player of the week. We all knew that. But
Yeah.
Smith is good, man. He to me clearly seems like he's a freshman out there playing because he's just jacking up threes. And it's like sometimes he'll miss a bunch and he's just like, nope, I'm going to keep shooting. And that's kind of what you want to do because shooters need to shoot themselves out of slumps. But I feel like if he in particular can learn, again, true freshman, to balance his game out between slashing and shooting the threes. I mean, his 34% 3-point field goal percentage and which is his regular field goal percentage is 38%. So he's shooting 34% from three, 38, 39% from the inside the arc. He'll be good because I think the one area I can see him improving that he needs to work on, I don't know how many attempts he's had, but he's at shooting 41% for the free throw line. If he can drive, that would be better to see his game balance out. I don't like seeing him just sit back there and put up threes.
Right.
No. Again, we gotta play less ISO ball. I know that Keats loves doing that in his system, but I just feel like with the athletes that we have and the fact that we have Sebron, and Sebron can be an ISO guy, but we don't really have and anybody else that we could have is as more of an ISO player is young. So I just feel like that again, we just got to have some sets more. We got run something a little bit more than a little bit more ISO ball like he likes to play. But at the end of the day, guys, at the end of the day, the thing to keep in mind that I do want to stress here is that at the end of the day, Keats is going to be our coach for this year. He's going to be our coach for next year. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't do us any good consistently hating on the guy. And at the end of the day, I mean, if he's not doing well, then we're not doing well, So, I mean, it's like, why are you wanting him to not do well? So again, I completely understand the concerns from fans. I completely understand that. But at the end of the day, I mean, we got to support these guys, through better, through worse, because at the end of the day, if they lose, we lose. So, I know that, again, there's a lot of doubters, and I completely understand that. It's natural. So, but I just wanted to kind of say that at the end of the day, it's that's the most important thing. We got to keep our heads high, and then we got to, because there's still so much positivity. We have so many young players, so many talented players that we can still do something this season. We're still so early. We just played our first ACC game.
That game Sunday is going to be very interesting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that'll be a good test.
For those who don't know, we're playing Purdue, who just got listed as a number 1 team in the country.
Yeah,
and they're known for their centers. So
at the end of the day, I mean, the team they're still 6-2. I mean, they had the wins. Some of the wins haven't looked pretty, but they're still wins, and probably the 2 best teams we've played so far. We've lost, but we've lost them both close. We've had a chance to win at the end. So, throughout the season, some more bounces the team keeps playing hard, and the bounces will go our way some of the time.
Yeah. But again, luckily enough, we have a game against Bethune-Cookman on Thursday in Reynolds Coliseum. So hopefully that'll be kind of a game where it's in Reynolds. It's in Reynolds.
Cool.
So
I know that.
So hopefully that'll be kind of a game. Yeah, just like exactly that. It'll be cool. It'll be exciting. Like it'll get the guys hyped up. It'll get them excited again. I mean, and then to be ready to go to Brooklyn, New York, and play a huge game against Purdue. Where again, I mean, I just want to see the fight. I'm not expecting or saying that we have to beat them by any means stretch of the measure. But I mean, again, just especially too with us having a young center who's going against arguably some of the best centers in college basketball. I mean, they're the real deal. So again, let's just not get blown out of the building. And honestly, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. So. But again, so just to kind of give you guys a heads up. So obviously, typically for these live streams, it typically has been that we would preview or we would go after the last football game and then we would preview the upcoming football game. But obviously with football season being about over, we aren't going to do that. But now we're still going to have our weekly live stream every single week, but we'll just kind of talk more general NC State, what's going on during the week, talk basketball, talk whatever. At the end of the day, we love doing this, and so we're going to keep on doing this. But so kind of transitioning now we're halfway through the episode into the football side, because we still have a little bit of football left, folks, which is awesome. And obviously NC State got selected to play in the Holiday Bowl on December 28th at 8 p.m. against UCLA. And the first thing I do want to say is, again, I completely understand the fans' immediate perspective where you see, they're playing in San Diego, California.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Like, why did we get selected for a bowl like that? Like, that's ridiculous. And I trust me, I completely understand, because I know, but also too, any team, no matter what ACC team they pick, there's not going to be a great showing from the ACC side at that bowl game. It's not going to
unless
happen.
you're somebody like Clemson or Miami, maybe Florida State. I think so.
Maybe.
I think so, because those are more like, I'm not saying it's like the Dukes of basketball, but you're going to maybe get a better showing, because it's like, Clemson's been in the national spotlight for 10 years. Miami's been and had its heyday in the 80s. There's probably got people out there who would be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially because if they go to Holiday Bowl, they're in our spot, 9-3, 8-4, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, they had a good season. So, yeah, I mean, but I guess what I'm saying is that, yeah, I mean, they may have a better showing than like maybe we will, but they're still not. I mean, again, UCLA is basically playing almost. They're almost playing in their backyard. I mean, they're playing literally in the state that they are in. So,
It's
I mean,
2.5 hours away, I think it said. So,
yeah, and we're probably thousands of miles away. So I mean, so again, completely understand. But at the end of the day, I mean, again, it's a showing, because again, I immediately say, so in this bowl game, we're playing UCLA, who at the beginning of the season was being talked about as like a dark horse. I mean, they came out at the beginning of the season just super strong, and then they ended strong, just not necessarily as strong as they originally seemed. And then you look at like the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which good old Carolina's playing in Charlotte. And so you go, okay, so what? Do you want to play in Charlotte and play South Carolina that just got beat 30-0 from by Clemson? Is that what you want to play? You want to play against the 6-6 South Carolina team that just lost 30-0? It's like, no, I want to go play a great UCLA team and end my season on a really high note, and also too, not only end on a high note, but get our 10th win by beating UCLA, and not only beat them to get our 10th win, but beat them on primetime TV on Fox at 8 p.m. Like, again, it's
a big deal.
You're going to pick that every day and twice on Tuesday. I understand the location, but then not every bowl game can be perfect. And unfortunately, the only bad thing I can really say about the bowl game is that it's in San Diego, California. But it's the highest payout of any bowl game besides a New York Six Bowl, or at least from the ACC side. It's prime time. It's against a great opponent. I mean, and also too, I think that decently a lot of players will play that you'll see this season. I mean, you never know. Again, every player will make that decision, I'm sure, soonish on if any player backs out. But I don't know. I feel like that. I mean, like, do you guys think Emeka would consider sitting out?
No. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say, because I mean,
I don't think there's anybody on this team right now besides Icky that I'm like, course. You can go make some more money.
Yeah.
Well, and just because, again, I like Emeka, at least from everything I've seen, it's not like that he's being drafted right now from what I've seen in like top 3 or 4 rounds. I mean, he's going to be a later pick. So I think that honestly, that right now he's not necessarily projected as like a top 3 or 4 round like player, but he's in the later rounds. Emeka.
Oh, I thought you said Icky. I was like, what?
No. Well, that's common knowledge that he's a top 10 draft
that's
pick.
That's why I said, hold on.
Next season. Yeah, no. Emeka. So what I'm saying is, I think that, I mean, go out and ball out one more time, and because at the end of the day, there still is a ton to play for. Like, I understand, other bowl games where maybe you're 7-5, 6-6, I get it. But then we have the opportunity here to get NC State's second 10-win season ever. I mean, which is huge. and not only to beat a UCL team that's solid and give us huge momentum heading into the offseason. I mean, huge momentum, which again, I also need to bring up. Everybody's talking about Boston College's quarterback. He announced that he's coming back.
Phil Jerkovich.
Phil Jerkovich. He's coming back next season. Everybody's talking about Tyler Van Dyke from Miami, but once again, they're not talking about Devin Leary, which is ridiculous. But what else is new?
Jerkovich, after he came back from his injury, he didn't really. I mean, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great.
He wasn't all that. He wasn't all that. No, but again, it's just, we'll see what happens. But again, I just, and also too, I mean, can we already kind of talk about what happened with Miami? Is that something that we can go and talk about right now?
Let's do it.
I mean, so we tweeted out.
What a joke! What a joke!
What a joke! Yeah, I mean, just terrible. I truly hope and pray that we never do something that just is just,
and that's fitting for Miami.
That. It's fitting for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, so my thoughts are, I mean, and college football is changed in the last, 10, 15, 20 years. It's more business-like. It's not great what they did to Manny Diaz, but Manny Diaz got introduced as a Temple head coach and then left 3 weeks later to go to Miami.
That's true too.
That's true.
It's like, and it's not like the thing with a college football is it's so public. Like Miami wasn't like going around saying, hey, like the university itself wasn't publicizing this. It's like reporters that are digging in and finding this. Like none of this is meant to be public. It's just such a public sport that, it's newsworthy. I mean, I'm sure it happens at, big corporations, the same thing. People are trying to get other jobs and stuff. You just don't see it because it's not in the public eye like college football. But again, I mean, it's still it's still a mess.
and for those who are listening in or tuning in right now, even that don't know the story, I'll kind of give a quick synopsis. But basically, Manny Diaz, who was the head coach at Miami, basically it came out that Miami was going after Mario Cristobal, who's the head coach at Oregon. But while they were going after Mario, Manny was still hired, and basically literally the minute that Mario Cristobal it came out that he was signing with Miami, then Manny Diaz got fired. So it was basically that while they were going after Mario, Manny was still recruiting and getting the football team ready, which is unheard of. And I think Gene Chizik, even, who was a former Auburn head football coach who coached Cam Newton in the national championship, I mean, he let Miami have it, saying, I mean, this is the most despicable thing if it is true. And it's so, yeah, I mean, it's, again, then they, we're not,
they don't care.
Go ahead. They don't care. Obviously, but again, after seeing what happened to Oregon against Utah, I mean, do you is Mario really that much better of a coach than Manny Diaz? I mean, honestly, and again, I mean, those tuning in, let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't. I mean, Manny Diaz literally ended the season as probably one of the hottest teams in the ACC. I mean, Miami went from being dead and gone to being they're a kind of a coastal contender right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
they got hot.
They started 2-4 and then finished 7-5, I think.
Right. So I mean, again, it's just I don't get it. Again, I mean, Manny Diaz, he dealt with injuries. He dealt with his star quarterback and De'Ara King. I mean, just being injury ridden, and you know what? Hey, he turned it around and he beat us, and he beat some solid. I mean, he beat Pitt. So again, it's I don't get it. And then Mario Cristobal in Oregon gets absolutely blown out in the championship game. It's like, come on. So
yeah, that'll get the fan base excited.
Right. Well, so again, the one thing which I say, I mean, I think I mentioned it 2 weeks ago in our live stream saying, hey, you could be a Texas fan, or right now I'll say you could be a Miami fan, or you could be a Clemson fan right now. And we got to talk about that a little bit too. Obviously, Brett Venables, the news came out that he got hired as the head coach for Oklahoma. And there's also rumblings, not necessarily rumors, but rumblings of Dabo Swinney, and not to say I'm not here saying by any means that there's even a rumor that he is going to leave. We're talking about leaving, but it is a well-known fact that Dabo Swinney has not been a fan of college football these days. And then it was basically caught that he was at the Oakland Raiders game. People saying that basically it was for him to support Cleveland Farrell and Hunter Renfrow, but I mean they don't have a head coach right now. I mean, not one for next year. I mean, and so. It's interesting.
Like
so,
you guys
honestly,
said earlier in our text message, he said he would leave college football if they started paying players.
Yeah, they're paying players, and I mean, so again, it's. I'm not saying it again. I right now I would say honestly in my head it's like a 5-10% chance that he leaves. It just would seem absolutely crazy for him to leave. But basically, Macon actually brought this up earlier, basically saying, I mean, if all your friends are leaving, then it makes it a little bit tougher to stick around. I mean, the athletic director of Clemson is going to Miami. The defense coordinator Brent Venables is going to Oklahoma. The offensive coordinator is getting recruited by Duke. I mean, a couple other schools to be their head coach. So I mean, he's about to lose, his office coordinator, defense coordinator, and athletic director. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on him too from Clemson's side of people being pissed off at him that they weren't a AC championship.
He's going to be under new management to a degree. He's going to have a new boss, and he's going to have to go and hire. With the expectation, I got to go hire a brand new DC and maybe a brand new OC. If I'm him, I'm paying Tony Elliott like, please come back, and it just makes it easier for him. Yeah. But yeah, and why Tony Elliott would ever consider Duke, I don't know. I mean, it is a Power 5 school. It is in the Coastal Division, but it's Duke. So,
but at the same time, if you can
he could be the next Dave Clawson, I guess.
Yeah, like if you can get Duke to a couple 7-5, 8-4 seasons, then you'll probably get an even better job after that. Yeah, exactly.
But again, I mean, like obviously with Brent Venables being gone, and we said this that losing Venables will hurt. How much? Probably not too much, because I mean, then again, Dabo Swinney is still one of the greatest college football coaches in the nation right now, and so then he will bring in a great defense coordinator. But at the end of the day, I think we could all can say Brent Venables is arguably. I wouldn't even say arguably. I would say it's almost no doubt that he's at least a top 5 defensive coordinator in the country. Arguably, I would say there's no doubt in my mind top 3.
Top 3.
I would say top 3. No
you may debate that, but debate's probably top 5. No, he's definitely a top 5 defensive
top
coordinator.
5. I mean, literally, I think there was like 6 years in a row, but basically from 2019, from like 2013 to 2019, that they ranked like top 6 in the country in total defense. Every single one of those years. So, but again, I mean, it's kind of funny though, seeing how Brent Venables, the defense coordinator, goes to Oklahoma, but yet the offensive coordinator is getting recruited by like Duke. It's like, it's a little different, quality of opportunities there.
Kind of the story of their season.
Yeah.
It's their offense that couldn't get going.
Yeah. I think that's when I listened to something that said like, does Clemson go and look for a QB in the transfer portal, or do they stick with DJ?
Well,
I don't know if you're going to find a better quarterback in the transfer portal.
No, they've got that a freshman who this year, I think his name's Cade Klubnik or something. I mean, he was like a top 5 recruit. So I would imagine.
But what if what's his face leaves? What if Tony Elliott leaves? I mean, Dabo's an offensive minded guy. He was played wide receiver at Alabama. Right. So he's gonna. But again, he could call the plays if he wanted to. That's why he needs Venables. I think it's a bigger deal than people think.
And he can. He's still Clemson. He can still probably go out and get any offense coordinator he wants.
Yeah,
possibly, but
again, his mindset.
But it's pretty much what I was saying is that DJ Uyunglele, it's very clear that if Clemson has. Because obviously they do. They have aspirations to win a national championship. I don't think DJ's your guy. Now, I mean, it's hard to argue with a team that went 9-3 this year, and also too because again, Clemson had an off year this year, even recruiting wise. Again, this is one thing that I was screaming at the Clemson game, saying, "How can the Clemson offense be this bad? Like, how can they be this bad? Like, and not necessarily saying that again. It's just like they have all these studs and they're not playing well." they didn't really have many studs. Their offensive line was terrible. They had one star wide receiver who was basically not really. I mean, he played well, but he wasn't like a stud all season. And then he got injured and sat out the rest of the season. And then you had Will Shipley, and that's it. Like again, I mean, if Clemson is so dominant, which they are in recruiting, how can it be that they're so thin? You know, so that's what I'm saying is that I like it.
Dang.
At the end of the day, DJ Uyunglele was not making throws that even if you had Mike Williams, even if you had these guys, like, you know, you got to get it like to the guy, you know what I mean?
I'm looking at his stats now. Listen to these stats. He was completing only 55% of his passes.
Yeah.
He had 9 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns. So he was 13 touchdowns total on the season to Devin Leary's 35.
Wow. He didn't even get double-digit passing touchdowns.
And Devin Leary didn't run. Did Devin Leary? Those were passing, just passing. Did Devin Leary have any rushing touchdowns?
He had 2, I think.
2 or 3, yeah.
2
but
or
again,
3, yeah.
Again, I honestly, I did DJ even complete? Again, I don't know what you would define as a deep pass, but I'm sure he probably only completed a handful of deep passes.
I think the word is it's called. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Explosive.
I was
play.
just gonna say explosive play. He just missed. I mean, he just missed guys like easy throws.
Yeah.
I think the rule for explosive plays is like over 20 yards.
Mm-hmm.
As like a big pass. I don't know what that's an explosive play. A deep ball pass might be like, I would say
I would say it's more 40 plus.
Well, that's 40, chucking it down the field. That's I don't know, but all I know is when I look at stats, he didn't. I'm trying to look here at Devin Leary's to compare. Devin Leary is completing 66% of his passes. He had 35 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. So he had 37 touchdowns total for the season.
Yeah.
And DJ Uyunglele had 13.
Wow. So
better completion percentage, almost 3 times the amount of touchdowns.
Yeah. So again, I think that for any other team that nobody would be complaining about this season for them because they went 9-3. I mean, they played, and one of their losses was against now the number 3 team in the country in Georgia. So, you know, but at the end of the day, I just don't see DJ being that guy. So again, it really does for me come down to that. I look at next season and with everybody coming back now, with knowing Derek Pitts is coming back, knowing that Isaiah Moore, knowing that, you know, all these guys are coming back. You know, and then it's been a rumor that Peyton Wilson will announce that he's coming back again. It's a rumor. Hasn't been officially announced yet, but it does seem like that it's very likely that he comes back. And then you have everything back on offense. And I think really the only person I'm really curious about from the offensive side, if he comes back or not, is Devin Carter. I think it's very more likely that Thayer comes back. I'd be shocked if he goes. I'd be shocked if Thayer leaves, especially with Drake being there, with Lex coming in. I mean, I think that's kind of a dream scenario for the Thomas brothers that I don't think Thayer wants to miss out on. But I think he wanted to keep his option.
Would Lex be playing? Would Lex be on the team next season?
Or is it the year after? No, 2023.
I forgot about
that. He would never get to play with Lex.
My fault. But then they still.
But could you imagine if Thayer left and Drake stayed? Well, he's staying, and then we won the ACC championship, and he just. I
think they come back. I think the only motivation I'm telling you what's going to be key. You know what I think they're waiting on? I think they already know, but I think they're waiting until Devin announces.
Mm-hmm. Devin Leary.
Devin Leary. I mean, everybody thinks he's going to come back, but the guy just had, like we just said, 37 touchdowns.
Ridiculous season.
And he didn't win the ACC. I think if he had won the ACC, does he go then? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think this offseason looks a lot different if we had won the ACC.
Correct. So I think these guys come back. I think especially if Leary comes back, because then they know, all right, we can run this back. Devin would get all of Mezzi's touches plus what he had last year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you had to pick one or the other, I'd be picking Devin Carter to come back because I don't know who that X receiver is going to be with Mezzi gone. And if Carter were to go, I mean, we know if Thayer's gone, Rooks, who would play that spot. So it'll be interesting. Yeah. It's exciting. It's exciting to think about.
and Will Pryor brings up Cyrus Fagan announced he's coming back too, and I think that was kind of understood. And then Corey Durden, he announced he's coming back too. And then so Justin Cook actually threw. Russell Wilson's coming. Russell Wilson's coming back, yeah. And then Justin Cook mentioned about going after Aleem McNeil's brother, the linebacker that went to Oregon.
Jabril.
And I mean
Jabril
McNeil. Yeah.
Is he in the transfer portal?
I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure, but I mean, that's that would be interesting. But I think it would be a different story if Aleem was still on the team. But I feel like that now that Aleem's not on the team, there's not really as much of a pull to bring him all the way back from Oregon. But I mean, you never know. Again, the transfer portal is a weird thing. It is a weird thing. So, but my point basically out of it is that looking at how we are truly not rebuilding but reloading for next season. That and looking at Clemson and like how like it seems like they're going to be in a little bit more like of a flux next season, because I mean it's really going to be like we got to figure things out a little bit, that I mean the opportunities for sure is still there for next season. It is 100% still there. And because one other thing too, which I do want to say in terms of the reason maybe why Leary doesn't go is not to his fault. I think we all can easily say that he should have been easily at least, third or second team all ACC quarterback for sure. So, but for him to not get on those, it basically would take a scout looking past that and being like, dude, this guy.
Sam Howell had more votes than Devin Leary. How the heck does that happen this season? That is total bias if I've ever seen it.
Yeah. I saw something that said like the ACC's like top 6 quarterbacks were better than some year in like the whole NCAA. Like it was an insane year for quarterbacks, especially ACC quarterbacks.
I'm gonna tell you what, ACC is the conference of quarterbacks.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, Brennan Armstrong was he 13? Was Brennan Armstrong 13?
Yeah,
he was
13.
Even though the only stat that Brennan Armstrong was better than Devin Leary was passing yards, but touchdowns, interceptions, rating, you name it, Leary was better. So. But again, there's no doubt. Again, there's not even an argument that he should have been at least all third team. But I'm saying that, like, if he's looking at NFL level, that voting wise, he wasn't even put as the third best quarterback in the ACC. So it would take a scout basically looking past that to basically be like, this guy is the real deal, and let's take a chance on him. So, but I truly do think that this coming season that there's going to be more talk about him, more hype about him. And if he can do what he did this season again, then I feel like there's no doubt in my mind that he'd be not like one of the top quarterback prospects, but he'd be a really solid quarterback prospect heading into NFL for sure.
Yeah, I think the only thing with Devin is he comes across like he's a smaller guy. He's not real mobile. I feel like if Devin's going to work on something in the offseason, work on being more mobile. I think that would be I think that would kind of salivate the NFL scouts a little bit more for Devin Leary. It can be like, all right, this guy can move around a little bit more. I mean, he can. He just doesn't really show it as much.
Yeah, I mean, he had negative rushing yards on the season.
Yeah, I mean, if he can work on that, I mean, I think he'd get more excited. Add him maybe like another 10 pounds or so more muscle and keep working on, keep going with accuracy and all that chemistry. I mean, he needs to come back this season. He will, I imagine.
Yeah, but it would be a big shock if he didn't.
Now, I see Benjamin Orman saying, let's talk baseball. I know Justin Cook wants to. And to give you a heads up, Benjamin, so we actually will be doing I will go ahead and say that obviously we're going to do here soon a baseball preview. We're going to bring on our own Rob Chimra, former in-state pitcher, and do a preview again for them. And we'll definitely, as we get a little closer, we'll start bringing in baseball a little bit as well. But I'll be honest saying that I've been, it's been a crazy week. Because again, we haven't even talked about women's basketball.
We've been so focused on that's a great point.
Who's been the team of the week? I mean, they beat the number 2 and the number 6 team country at a neutral site and on the road. I know we only have a little bit left, but I mean, I do want to say first of all that Macon mentioned it during our women's basketball preview, but there is no doubt Diamond Johnson is a real deal, folks.
She's a real deal. Basically it's four players. Cunane, Johnson, Brown Turner, and Kayla Jones.
Yeah,
Those
Jaquia
are
Brown,
like
Kayla Turner.
your main four. And I mean, and I'm gonna tell you what,
Raina
man,
Perez you could throw in there as
that's what I
well.
was gonna say, man. She
Yeah.
is like
She can
to me,
shoot the ball so well.
she's the glue to the team.
Yeah.
She is
She
the
is.
glue. Her and Kayla Jones are the glue, in my opinion.
Mhm.
They are. I agree. Well, especially too because I feel like this season she's played good games. But and then Jess Cook mentioned Jada Boyd as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, you could talk Kai Crutchfield, but I think that just those have been the main pieces so far that have gotten us to where we are in the season. But I think that I'm still waiting. But again, I mean, Jaimin Johnson has been unreal. I mean, just how
What's your stat
talented she
line?
is. I mean, I
Look it up
know
real quick.
yeah, but while you do, but first of all, I mean, I'm glad to see that Jada Boyd came back earlier than I thought. From the preseason when Wes Moore was kind of talking about her, it kind of seemed like that she wouldn't really come back until probably like the end of the year, meaning the end of like 2021 year, the calendar year. And so for her to come back, I mean, and do well, I mean, she's been a key piece for sure. Was awesome. And then even Will Pryor as well talks about Madison Hayes, who will get better as the year goes on. So again, I mean, I think right now, and by the way, too, want to also mention that to talk about the net ratings or whatever, the NET rankings. So
Yeah.
the NET rankings have South Carolina number 1, UNC number 2, and us number 3. Even though UNC hasn't played one ranked team this year, so interesting little stat there for the NET lovers. But again, right now it just seems like that. It's really us in South Carolina. It seems like basically right now in terms of tiers of women's basketball, that's basically us, South Carolina, and then everybody else. Now, not necessarily saying that everybody else is in the same tier, but from our worrisome perspective, that I mean, that I wouldn't be shocked again, depending on how the rankings go. But I mean, man, this team is just this again. It's awesome to see because again, like Kai Crutchfield, she hasn't really figured it out yet. She hasn't really come out yet, But again, she'll figure it out. She's a senior.
Shooter. She'll be fine.
She's a shooter. She'll figure it out. She'll get there. And Jada Boyd will get better as she gets more time back from being injured. But and then Kunane will get better and better. So again, I mean, I'm not worried, but it's great to see that a brand new player in Diamond Johnson come right in and be big for us. I mean,
I'm looking at the stat line now. Let's read these off real quick. She's not blowing it out of the water. Like she's averaging 13 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, and like 2.9 assists per game. So three assists per game. But she's shooting over 50%. No, take it back. Sorry. That's for her career. She's shooting 49.5% field goal percentage on 11 shots on average per game. So she's making like 5.5 buckets a game. And then she's shooting over 40% from three. So she's shooting 50% from the field, 40% from three. The only area but the main area on these stat lines you can see that she can improve on is free throws. She's only shooting 67%. Make sure I'm that right. 66.7. Wow. Yeah. So she can work on her free throws. I mean, she's going to be a monster. She already is, and she's the smallest person on the team. Like she just can move. She's a good player, man. I just think I think a lot of her. I think Kayla Jones is impressed. We all talked about, but I'm gonna tell you what, man. One thing I thought about too, Raina Perez knocking down those free throws at the end of the Indiana game.
She's just so clutch.
To me, she's automatic. It doesn't phase her.
Yeah.
She's mature. That's what you want in a graduate level player, a veteran on the team. Yeah,
she was the one that hit the game-winning shot against Louisville last year, right, in the ACC championship.
Yeah, that was her.
Yeah, she's
became a legend.
Yeah, well, and again for being again she's a transfer as well. So again, it's a great. That's why at the end of the day, again, any state fan complaining, again, I completely understand the word. Again, we want better. That's all of us. We want better. But again, there's so much good going on right now. Like, I mean, again, women's basketball is playing great. And like even wrestling looks absolutely dominant right now. And I mean, again, for those who are not following wrestling, I highly suggest you get on ASAP.
Didn't
they are the real
but
deal.
Wasn't the final score their match against Gardner Webb? They held Gardner Webb to -1 points.
-1 match.
Yeah. -1, and for
that
those,
was hilarious.
Yes. So, which for those who were curious, how do you get -1 point? So basically, they got docked a point because one of the wrestlers refused to shake hands after the match.
What?
So they got deducted a point. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gentleman's sport.
So, exactly, gentleman's sport.
Like wrestling and golf, same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they have coming up. They go to App State this coming weekend, but then and then they. So basically, their first ACC match isn't until January 21st. But again, I mean, they're the real deal. So, and also too, got to give a shout out to Ice Pack as well for absolutely crushing Carolina. I think it was 8-3.
It's cool to see them get recognized at the basketball game.
Yes, that too. Yeah, they forget them, and they should absolutely. I mean, again, they've been amazing, and again, I think that they're very primed to have a big season this year. So. But hey, any win over Carolina any day, no matter what sport, no matter how much,
sport,
it's always beautiful. It's always a beautiful thing. And so to beat them in PNC Arena in front of a great crowd was awesome to watch for sure. So anyway, so yeah, guys. So again, obviously we'll continue to kind of talk. I know we didn't talk a ton about the UCLA game tonight. But obviously, again, we still got 3 weeks until the game.
Yeah.
So we'll pick it up in future streams as we go.
We'll know which players are sitting out and playing and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And also too, we'll probably have some news on transfer portal. I mean, definitely. Yeah. And I kind of want, obviously, we want to kind of talk a little bit about this because because Ricky Purse already announced he's leaving. It seems pretty, publicly known that more than likely Bam Knight's going to go. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the transfer portal from a running back's perspective wise.
If they need to, dun dun dun.
Or if they need to.
Right.
Well, yeah, which I agree. But again, it'll be interesting to see. So we'll definitely talk about that. Maybe they will. We'll see. But we're here for it, right? Again, I mean, hey, we're sitting here beautifully in the meantime. But
I was isn't this fun right now as a State fan? Like you did so well, and you're like, everybody's going to come back. We're going to do it all over again. And, I mean, assuming everybody's healthy, assuming everybody stays healthy, it's just like
it's the first year where.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's first year where wait till next year might actually mean something.
Yeah. So it's all Will Pryor's no offensive line, please. So State, I think, is having an in-home visit right now with the one of the top offensive tackle transfers.
Yep.
In the country from FIU. His name's Miles Frazier. He's big dude. Everybody's recruiting him. State's in-home official visit right now. So
I was just looking at that 24/7 as they have a great
he's like a number 2 offensive tackle in some category.
And
in the
right now,
in each major,
24/7 has it's only one prediction, but it's crystal ball for Florida State for that guy, but that's just one person.
Yeah, but that's what they're in a home visit. So yeah, they're definitely are prioritizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Need someone to fill in Kiki's spot.
This is a friendly reminder though that Mac is back. So just keep that in mind. And also too, because again, I mean, for those, I'm sure most of the our followers know, but for those who don't know, my wife went to the University of South Carolina. So I'm always been kind of a number 2 South Carolina fan, because obviously NC is by far number 1, but then I cheer for South Carolina. And so for them to play Carolina, I'm like, go Cox, let's go. Come on, please beat them.
Is this like the third or fourth time they've played each other in 5 years?
Third.
I don't know.
Third.
Like, I thought it was interesting. Wake Forest is going to play Texas A&M, and they just played them in 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
it'll be interesting, but But again, and keep in mind,
playing Maryland, that's happened recently too, I think. So
that's true. So, but again, keep in mind, folks, that hey, as bad as you may think being a State fan is, you could be a Texas fan, you could be a Miami fan, or you could be a Carolina fan. So
or even worse,
I'm gonna say that.
Fan, yeah.
Exactly. So with that being said, y'all, please make sure, again, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free to do. And again, if you haven't, just please do it. It helps us. It's free to do. It really helps us a lot. And also, too, make sure if you would even like to as well, hit that little bell icon, as you'll actually get notified whenever we release new videos. You'll actually be notified. But also, to give this video a like, check out all of our great Instate content. And again, obviously, we just did our episodes with Locked On Wolfpack, which if you haven't seen those, I cannot stress enough how highly I recommend you go check those out. Was definitely one of our favorite interviews for sure, to have Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack on to talk about and discuss Peyton Wilson, his future. So definitely go check those out. And we'll definitely have we have huge plans coming up here for some awesome episodes coming out here this week and for the rest of December. So make sure to don't miss those out, and give us a follow on Tuffy Talk now if you haven't already, on Twitter or Instagram. But thank you all again for so much for tuning in. And hey, as always, go Pat Gale. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you all.